Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. About a week ago, I went to my sister-in-law's house for a mandatory family reunion that I absolutely hate. Originally, I resisted as much as I could from these get-togethers, but eventually, when my husband said it's non-negotiable and that in exchange for me joining them, he'd make a deal with me, I agreed. So now, for every weekend, I had to endure this hellish place among these people who nitpick every single thing and judge other humans as a fun way to pass time. I get a weekend at a bed and breakfast with only me and my husband and the peace of having no kids around. So on our last weekend, when everyone was sitting around after brunch, my stepdaughter starts blabbering about her life back at home and how she's not allowed to go wandering around the house like she gets to do here. When my sister-in-law asked her why, she went on to tell them it's because mom doesn't want me to see her work her part-time job. I quickly sensed danger and a topic that is absolutely forbidden to talk about coming out, so I shut her up and tell her to go play with her cousins. When my sister-in-law asked me what she was going to say, I quickly made an excuse saying, "You know how children are, they make their own stories in their heads." She let the topic drop, so I relaxed for the time being, but I also knew that my sister-in-law was the kind of woman who'd go after a gossip like a moth attracted to light. I kept my guard up all day, and I didn't let her anywhere near my daughter alone. After dinner, everyone was going to retire for the day, so when my husband asked me to go for a nightly walk around the block, I told my daughter to go with her cousins to the children's bedroom. I started to relax and was enjoying the few moments just with my husband away from the whole family. After coming back, as I was going to my room, I saw my daughter talking to my sister-in-law. I was surprised and hit myself mentally for letting my guard down. I quickly walked to my daughter and told her to run along as it's past her bedtime. I was going to leave as fast as possible from there to avoid talking to my sister-in-law, but she clearly had no mind of letting me go without bringing up the subject that was unavoidable anymore. I told her to drop it, as it was a long day and I had no intentions of being drawn in another judgmental argument. Whatever she needed to say could wait until the next morning. Not going to lie, I didn't sleep much that night and was thinking of excuses I could make to leave early from this stupid trip. Next morning, I told my husband what had happened, and he said that I should stand my ground and whatever sister-in-law had to say to me, I should just let her know my boundaries. I was so glad to hear him support me. When my sister-in-law eventually caught me alone, she started saying how it was so wrong of me to work such a shameful job in such a degrading manner. She said that I should be ashamed of myself for being married and having a child at home, but still pursuing such things. Now, to make it clear, what she said was way exaggerated. I work as an editor for a small sub-publication under Penguin Publishers. I love reading and writing, and as a side job, I write eroticas. Not novels, but short erotic web novels and stories under a pseudonym. It's always been my hobby to write about human passion, and my husband knows about it. Actually, the fact that he knows about it and still loves me for it and doesn't condemn me is one of the reasons why I love him so much and married him. I even love my stepdaughter, and there's no way I'd intentionally harm her. But the thing is, to write about erotics in depth, I need to do my research, and you all could guess what that research might include. And that is why my stepdaughter is not allowed to wander about the house, because I don't want her to accidentally walk into my room when I'm working on any particular scenes. Especially after I found her going through me and my husband's shared closet and discover a box full of sex toys. Although they were well hidden, she managed to find them, and when I saw that, I was horrified. That's when I told her that she shouldn't go around looking through people's things, and I taught her what privacy meant. It wasn't such a big deal as she had no idea what those things were, and when I told my husband, he also said that I did the right thing by talking to her and not rebuking her for going through the closet. I figured that was the incident my daughter told my sister-in-law about, and my sister-in-law must have put two and two together. She continued to shame me for my choices and said that just because my daughter isn't my own blood, I don't care about her or her innocence. She went as far as to say that she'd not let any bitch destroy her brother's family, and that if I actually care about them, I'd stop doing my shameful side job. She said that if I don't stop doing that, she'll personally tell everyone in the family about it and make sure that I was kicked out of the house and my husband's life. Now that was the limit, and I slapped her. Usually I find my words quite enough to wage my war, but holy hell, she made me use violence. I told her she can do whatever she wants, and that I'd see who even cares one bit about what she has to say. She can go crying to her family or my husband, and it would make not a bit of difference. I told her I'm already tired of her pathetic life where she judges other humans and sits on her measly little throne. I walked out of there and told my husband that I'm leaving with my kids and he can return when he wants to. I packed my stuff and left after that. Now, do you really blame me for behaving like that? Am I really the a-hole here for slapping her and showing her her place? I mean, she was practically belittling me for living my dreams. Am I really the one who should quit her life because I have a stepdaughter and because my side job is R-rated? Many of you might remember my last post and how things ended at the family get-together. You might also remember how my sister-in-law pretty much gave me an ultimatum that I should stop my shameful and degrading side job. Well, she finally did it. She threatened to break the news about my pretty little erotic obsession to our family if I didn't stop, and 11 months later, she did it. After my husband came back home, I told him that he could forget about me ever going among those people. I told him I've had enough, and I'd not let anyone doubt how much I love our daughter, even though she's not my blood. I've been nothing but good and loving to her and value her needs above all else. That doesn't mean that I'm going to completely stop living my life. Boundaries can be created, and it's our job to teach our kids that their dreams matter as much as their family. So my husband told me that he's not forcing me to do anything more, and he'd also like to avoid a discussion among his family as much as possible, so we might as well stop going. So we missed a lot of the get-togethers over the last 11 months, and whenever we got a call from my in-laws, we made excuses about work or about our daughter's school meets that we absolutely need to attend. So when I got a call from my mother-in-law last night, I thought that she just wanted to check up on us and is missing us. But it turns out that she wanted to talk about something very specific. My mother-in-law told me how they were discussing how they all miss having us around during those visits and that they all wish we could come soon. But then my sister-in-law angrily bursts out, saying that they shouldn't invite a slut among us. My mother-in-law actually rebuked her, saying what in the world she was talking about, and that my sister-in-law told everyone that I write erotic store on the web, and that I've exposed my stepdaughter to my filthy toys. She went on to tell them that when she told me to quit this shameful habit, I got violent and slapped her, and that is the main reason we don't come out to these family get-togethers. After my mother-in-law finished telling me this, she went on to say something that totally shocked me. She said that she knows her son and that he would never let any woman near his child unless that woman has nothing but good intentions. She said that because my son went on to marry me and make me a permanent part of his daughter's life, there's no way I am the kind of woman who'd harm her in any way. Then she told me that she doesn't despise my side job and that she thinks it's a mark of what an amazing person I am, that I'm willingly raising another woman's daughter as if she's my own while continuing my career, and even amongst all that, I still find time to pursue what I love doing. I was so moved at the end of our conversation that I told her how much I appreciate her support, and that if she ever wants to read any of my stories, I'd let her. Obviously, she denied. Anyway, I'm going to ask my husband if we can go to visit my mother-in-law soon, or maybe even think about starting to go on family weekends. Although I know for certain that I'd never talk to my sister-in-law ever again, I still miss certain things about the rest of our family. I know my daughter would surely be happy to meet her cousins again. I also feel like an a-hole now for thinking that all my in-laws are exactly the same. I shouldn't have judged them without at least getting to know them. NTA, I for certain don't think that you're an a-hole just for writing erotica. So many people openly talk about a healthy sex life and don't understand it. Erotica is also a part of that. I hope your sister-in-law comes to understand that soon. NTA, you just did what you felt passionate about. You also made sure that your passion doesn't interfere with your stepdaughter's life. In the end, we're human and we make mistakes. So you had one slip. That doesn't make you an a-hole. It makes you human. And I just love your mother-in-law who actually understands you, even though there must be a generational gap between you guys. And to think that your sister-in-law would be the one to be a jerk when she should understand how our world works now? Such a shame. When I, 30 male, was 5, my family took me to one of those Japanese steakhouses where they cook the food at your table. When the cook lit the grill and the huge flames shot up into the air, It scared the heck out of me, and I ran and hid in the corner and was too afraid to come back to the table. My aunt, 64, has teased me about that ever since. That was 25 years ago, and I swear she brings it up every single time I see her. I've told her repeatedly to stop talking about it. My parents have also asked her to stop bringing it up, to no avail. It's gotten so tiresome and embarrassing, and she teases me about it in front of the whole family despite me repeatedly telling her to stop. I've never really gotten along well with my aunt, and lately I've made it a point to avoid her at family gatherings. We celebrated my birthday Friday, and I wanted to go to one of those Japanese steakhouses. I didn't invite my aunt, but my grandmother invited her behind my back. I didn't know that she was coming until she showed up. I was already pissed off that my grandmother invited her. She told me that my aunt is family and I can't just exclude her from everything. But as soon as we sat down, my aunt started ribbing me about that incident when I was 5. I told her to stop bringing it up, and my mom told her to stop as well. But when the cook was fixing to light the hibachi, she asked me in this really condescending way, "You sure you don't want to hide in the corner for old time's sake?" I finally just lost my temper, and I went off on her right there in front of the whole restaurant. I basically yelled at her, "Will you just shut up about that already? That was 25 years ago. Is that literally all you have to talk about? I'm sick of hearing about it. This is why I didn't invite you." I swear the entire restaurant must have been staring at me, and I felt like just walking out. The entire rest of the dinner was awkward, and I couldn't even enjoy my meal. After we left, my grandmother told me that I embarrassed her in front of everyone and that my outburst was completely uncalled for and that I owed my aunt an apology. My parents told me I didn't owe my aunt anything and were angry at my grandmother for inviting her, but I still feel like an a-hole for losing my temper and yelling in front of the restaurant. And the whole thing was deeply embarrassing. My grandmother and my aunt are also both blasting me on Facebook for embarrassing them in public. So AITA? NTA. She had been warned repeatedly to stop. For this to go on for 25 years is ridiculous. You had every right to do what you did because obviously it was going to take extreme measures for her to shut up. You embarrassed her. That is what she has been doing to you for 25 years. Your grandmother was out of line to invite someone to your birthday party that she knew you did not want there. Blast them back. They are not owed an apology. NTA, sure, you could have handled it more cordially, but what your aunt is doing to you borders on emotional abuse, and you have absolutely no obligation to put up with it. Your grandmother and your aunt are TA. Your parents are right, and I'm glad you have that support. Regardless of what your grandmother does, I suggest you continue to exclude your aunt. Your folks have your back. I, 26 male, have an awesome girlfriend, Kendall, 26. We've been together 3 years and I plan to marry her. We have a great friend group that includes a lot of my high school friends and their girlfriends. We typically meet up twice a week and I live for these hangouts. Kendall has some social anxiety, so sometimes it isn't the easiest getting her out of her shell. But for the most part, she really does try and my friends love her. So the whole situation revolves around my good friend Mandy, 26, female. Me and Mandy were friends since high school and went to the same college and became best friends. She is the main character in our friend group. At first, Mandy and Kendall were great friends. But one night, Mandy joked with Kendall that they were Eskimo sisters. Kendall asked what she meant, the truth being that one night, 5 years ago while in college, me and Mandy got drunk at a frat formal and slept together. We hardly remember this and think it's literally hilarious now. We make jokes about it. When Kendall found out, she had a panic attack and we had to leave. We talked it over and I said I didn't feel like it was really all that relevant. We are just friends. Kendall said that she was fine and that it was just shocking. I reassured her that it was a drunken night 5 years ago and meant nothing. Ever since it's been a pattern, we will go out with friends. Kendall will see Mandy, panic attack ensues, and we have to leave. It has happened 5 or 6 times now, to the point where my friends ask why we just leave randomly. Kendall isn't a jealous person at all. She's very confident in herself and never displays jealous tendencies, but for some reason, when she sees Mandy, she breaks into a panic attack. But she keeps wanting to hang out with the group and prove it doesn't bother her, so she keeps wanting to hang out. But when she does, panic attack, then we leave. So I've gotten tired of this. I want to see my friends. So we had a trivia night recently and I told Kendall that I was hanging with my work friends. not my high school friend group. She said she would hang at home then. So me and a coworker met up with my friend group and we did a trivia night. Unfortunately, one of my friends put up a story of us all and Kendall saw. When I got him, she was furious that I excluded her from a friend group hangout. I said that I felt like she was isolating me from my friends with her issues and I wanted to see them for a full night, not 30 minutes. She said she can't control her panic attacks, but she's working on them. And me excluding her because of them was an move. AITA? Oh my God, YTA? First of all, you bring your current girlfriend into your friend group and don't mention that one friend is somebody that you did sleep with, whether it was one time drunk 5 years ago or not. Then your girlfriend has the pleasure of hearing this not from you, but from the girl you slept with. And both of you were so inconsiderate to think it was funny. Then, on top of that, you secretly hung out with the friend group that includes the girl you slept with, most likely giving your girlfriend more anxiety about the situation. Nice dude. YTA. Never lie to a partner, especially when it involves something like you sleeping with someone else in your friend group. Has she ever communicated with you she doesn't want you to see Mandy? If she's not jealous, why do you feel the need to lie? Seems like there's some missing context. Stop lying and stop triggering panic attacks for your girlfriend. Think about if she did that with you and another guy. Even if you aren't doing anything wrong, it makes you look really bad and fuels anxiety.